It was just after midnight on March 8, 2014. A Malaysia Airlines Boeing 777, flight MH370, climbed into the night sky over Kuala Lumpur with 227 passengers and 12 crew aboard. The travelers included families, honeymooners, students, tourists, even a stuntman, representing more than a dozen countries. For Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah and his young co-pilot Fariq Abdul Hamid, it was a routine overnight flight to Beijing. Around 1:19 a.m., as the aircraft crossed into Vietnamese airspace, Capt. Zahari signed off with a cheery, "Good night, Malaysian 370. 2 minutes later, the transponder suddenly went silent. Controllers in Kuala Lumpur, Bangkok, and Ho Chi Minh City watched their radar screens go blank. Military radar caught a blip turning west over Malaysia and then north over the Straits of Malacca toward the Andaman Sea. In those tense minutes, the mystery began to unfold. Where was MH370 headed, and why had it vanished? The clues were few and puzzling. Once the flight disappeared from civilian radar, satellite handshakes with the jet's Inmarsat system kept ticking along. Analysts soon determined the Boeing had carried on flying for hours, turned south over the Indian Ocean, and finally ran out of fuel. By then it was well beyond any air traffic control's reach. In other words, MH370 had effectively steered itself into oblivion, leaving nothing behind but questions. A team of experts mapped out a pair of possible arcs far to the north and south of Malaysia. Only the southern track over the empty Indian Ocean seemed to fit the signal data. Word of the disappearance spread quickly, shocking the world. Relatives in Beijing and Kuala Lumpur were frantic. Malaysian officials scrambled jets and ships, combing the South China Sea as satellite pings hinted the jet might still be aloft. But within days, the focus shifted to a remote expanse in the southern Indian Ocean, far from any shipping lanes or islands. On March 18th, Australia took the lead in a massive surface search, flying over 4 million square kilometers of ocean. By March 24th, Malaysia, Prime Minister was forced to announce that Flight 370 was presumed lost in the South Indian Ocean with no survivors. This became one of history's largest and most expensive rescue operations. Dozens of planes and ships from Australia, China, the United States, the UK, and other nations scoured endless blue waters. In early April, ships dragged hydrophones to listen for the faint beeps of black box, locator beacons, whose batteries last only about 30 days. All that remained of MH370 were the people aboard and the echo of its last words. In the cockpit had been Capt. Zahari, a 53-year-old flight veteran and father of 3. He had been with Malaysia Airlines since 1981 and was respected as a top pilot. Beside him sat Fariq, a newly minted 777 co-pilot. In the cabin were 227 passengers, 2/3 from China, plus Indonesians, Malaysians, Australians, and others. Among them, a Malaysian couple returning home from their honeymoon, families with children, a group of Chinese artists, and even a stuntman who had worked in Hong Kong films. All had boarded a safe, familiar aircraft, expecting to wake up in Beijing. None could have imagined the nightmare about to unfold. Even as the search pressed on, investigators probed every possibility: mechanical failure, hijacking, even deliberate pilot action. But by 2018, no firm answers emerged. An official 495-page Malaysian report found that after takeoff, the plane's flight path was manually redirected, not autopilot, and flew on for hours, but it could not explain why or by whom. The report did not blame Zahari or Fariq, nor any terrorist group, but it noted that unlawful interference by a third party could not be ruled out. Intriguingly, it dismissed both pilot suicide and mechanical failure as likely causes. In short, the final report closed many doors, but left the central question open. How did this happen? One clue came from debris. In July 2015, a French islander found a wing piece, a flaperon, washed up on Reunion Island, some 4,000 kilometers west of the search area. In the following years, about 30 more fragments of the plane were pulled from African shores and Indian Ocean islands. Only 3 of those pieces were positively confirmed as MH370 debris. Oceanographers used their locations to verify that currents would drift wreckage from the search zone to those beaches. But those scraps, haunting souvenirs of the lost jet, only deepened the mystery of the main wreckage buried at sea. With few concrete clues, countless theories flourished. Some experts pointed to the recovered flaps and satellite data and concluded the jet had plunged into the ocean as fuel ran out, without anyone at the controls. Australian investigators noted that the recovered wing parts showed the flaps were retracted, as if for normal flight, not landing, supporting a death dive theory. Others held on to the possibility of foul play. Could someone in the cockpit have turned that dial? Or could a clandestine hijacker have slipped aboard? But no evidence of a struggle, no claim of responsibility, no smoking gun ever appeared. The truth, it seemed, sank with the aircraft's last heartbeat. Amid the questions, the human cost was clear and constant. In Kuala Lumpur and Beijing and elsewhere, families held candlelight vigils and memorials for their missing loved ones. They demanded answers from Malaysia Airlines and from investigators. They formed support groups and even a campaign called Voice 370, lobbying governments to renew the search. For them, it wasn't just a mystery. It was a personal tragedy that hung in limbo. "We've never stopped wishing for answers," said one wife of a victim, speaking at a remembrance ceremony. When Malaysia's transport minister finally announced in late 2025 that a new search effort would begin, she and many other relatives felt a surge of cautious relief. Indeed, after more than a decade, Malaysia has again enlisted Ocean Infinity, the private search firm that scoured the deep in 2018, to send autonomous submarines into the southern Indian Ocean starting December 30th, 2025. The target is a 15,000 square kilometer stretch of seabed, identified by fresh drift and satellite analyses as most likely to hold the wreckage. This fourth search comes with a no-find, no-fee contract. Ocean Infinity will only collect a hefty reward if it locates substantial pieces of the plane. It will be a final bid to bring closure. Governments in China and Australia have expressed support, and anxious families again cling to hope. Today, MH370 remains a stark warning of uncertainty in a high-tech world. In the past 10 years, aviation regulators have adopted new safeguards in its wake. For example, airlines now track planes more closely. Satellite systems like Ariane can relay an aircraft's position anywhere on Earth, making a total vanishing much harder. Future planes may carry ejectable black boxes and distress tracking beacons that activate under extreme conditions. Cockpit voice recorders will soon hold 25 hours of sound instead of just 2 to capture any inexplicable maneuver before an incident. These measures are a legacy of Flight 370's mystery. As a new search vessel scans the abyss for wreckage, we're reminded of those 239 lives suspended in history. We can never undo the vanished journey of MH370, but we can keep searching the depths and keep asking questions. The plane's disappearance was a tragedy without closure, and its final moments are still a puzzle. In connecting past to present, MH370 teaches us vigilance. No aircraft should fly untracked. No flight plan should be accepted as routine. For the families and the world, the mystery of MH370 is not merely history. It is a promise to find the answers, however long it takes.